Hi, my name is Coach Stu, and I want to thank you all for clicking on the video and in an effort to learn more about how you can improve your English or any language for that matter. And today I'm joined by my good friend John Drummond, John Drummond, who has an interesting way of promoting English in Taiwan. John, could you please introduce yourself, and thank you for coming.
Yes, dude. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Yeah, so I have been working in the education business for about 8 years now. And what I do now here in Taiwan, especially, is I focus on alternative methods of learning the language. So different motivational factors, different aspects to the language that kind of help remind us that, language is a tool. So what I do specifically is I work with a local radio station here in Taiwan called ICRT, and I host a radio show called NG Ingwen. For non-Chinese speakers, Ingwen just means English. And NG is kind of a phrase that Chinese and Taiwanese use, which stands for no good. And I don't know, Stu, if you know that, it comes from the entertainment business when a director is like, NG, NG, NG. And they want you to take a new cut.
I didn't know that, but when you said NG Ingwen, I was like, does that stand for no good? And I had never heard it before. So that was my immediate go-to response. I go, no, it can't be that simple. It's got to have. But I had no idea that it was a Taiwanese reference too. The Taiwanese love to create these really short little things. My favorite one is this one.
Yeah.
I do that when I strike someone out in softball. Bye-bye.
I love that. Yeah, that's how I say goodbye.
That's how I end my classes too, so. So John is uniquely situated to learn about what my partner Anna and I are doing at Infinity Key. And so what we're going to do is about a 15-minute elevator pitch where John has no idea what I do, and I'm going to convince him of the genius of Infinity Key. And by the end of this, he's going to want to help me promote it and get it out to you people in Taiwan. Also, Japan, South Korea. I'd like to say China, but as you will see, it's limited right now in China with the Great Firewall. They need strong VPNs to be able to use it. I'm not about to go to Baidu and WeChat to promote to China. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. So I want to exit full screen. Okay. And I'm going to share my screen with you. So this is our website, infinitykey.rocks. And I'm going to start by saying a couple of years ago, I was catching up with a friend of mine, and I was telling him about what we were doing at Infinity Key. And he's like, you know what? You should write me a little script. I have a friend that makes commercials. And I was like, and this guy is like really not related to the entertainment industry or anything like that, or even the English industry. He's just a friend. And he's like, oh, well, this guy owes me a favor, so I'll get you a commercial made. And so I dashed off a script and sent it to him, not expecting anything. But I got this, and hopefully the sound is working. Tell me if it's not, okay?
Infinity Key, a truly natural online language training experience. 25,000 minutes. That's what you'll need to invest. Invest 25,000 minutes with Infinity Key, and we'll build you a portfolio of language experiences designed to accelerate your personal progress. The coach will help you strike the right balance between passive acquisition and active application of your target language. InvestKey's algorithms and coaches guide you along the clearest, quickest path forward on your journey to fluency. Visit www.infinitykey.rocks for more information and follow Infinity Key on Facebook at facebook.com/InfinityKey. Infinity Key, a truly natural online...
Okay, that's enough of that. So I was like, wow.
There we go. That's just with a little guanxi right there, a little a little favor,
right? Yeah. So I was really impressed, and now it occurs to me, well, what I need to do is explain about the minutes.
Yeah.
And basically, we are asking for an investment from our clients of 25,000 minutes, as the commercial says. And what we're going to do is we're going to manage that time with we're going to cherish it and manage it and make sure that the client gets the highest ROI, return on investment, for that time. And in so doing, we track the time with this scoreboard here. This is our live scoreboard, and I've minimized it to show you just one client. Okay, and she is currently playing our game. What she has learned how to do is these 6 experiences, or XPs. You can see those, right?
Little
Slogs.
gamification right there. I like that already.
Interesting, yes, it's gamification, but what it is infinite game theory.
Yeah.
You know the difference?
Yeah.
If you have the will and the resources to continue, you will succeed.
Okay, infinite gaming, yes.
Infinite gaming, yes. And our formula for success is very simple. It's practice plus time. Okay,
Beautiful.
so we've created these 6 XPs, or practices, that we teach them how to do, and then they commit the time, and we manage that time. So
you see how much time they're allocating to each.
Exactly. So we look at May's daily commitment. To date, since she started playing the game, and I'll tell you, she started playing on February 28th. The game begins as soon as you file your first XP. Okay. And then our algorithm averages it out from that date to today, and we can see she's averaging a daily commitment of 51.4. But her streak in the last 7 days is 60.2. So she's working harder than her average.
That's great. So that timing is in minutes, correct?
That is it. Well, that's points.
Oh, that's points. Okay.
Points. We did gamify time into a point system.
Oh, I see.
But it's basically about 1 minute equals 1 point. Sometimes it's a little less. Sometimes it's a little. But we round it to 1 minute equals 25,000 minutes or 25,000 points. Okay. Okay. So this is how we're going to manage your time. And we can look at a glance, and the coach, when May takes her coaching session, we can see that she's only spent 20 minutes in the last 7 days on her draft XP. So we know right away that's what we need to focus on in our coach's corner.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
A secondary thing we look at is the balance. Balancing is very key between the active and the passive. You can see it's color coded. So passive would be vocab journal, rehearsal sets, and BKS, whereas active would be drafting.
What does BKS stand for?
Well, that's the secret sauce, and I will get into that shortly.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I figured you were going to explain, but yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
suffice it to say, these are the 6 XPs. There are 3 passive and 3 active. So we're looking at the balance. So we see her total is, say, 1750. So half of that would be, well, I'm not going to do the math, but we can see to date,
about 650-ish.
To date, she is exceeding in passive. So we also want to focus on her active. We want to find the balance here, right? She's doing more passive work than active. So the coach would remind her, and then while in session with her, work on some of the active exercises instead of the passive. We would support active in that week, better preparing them for their next week of experiences. Yeah, that's basically our coaching sessions, is to better prepare you so you're pushed outside of your comfort zone ever so slightly, comfortably outside your comfort zone, I like to say.
Yeah.
Right.
So are those? Oh, sorry.
As you live outside your comfort zone expands, and it expands, and it expands. And the ultimate result of practice plus time will equal success. And success is what I would call professionally fluent English. Okay. Yeah. You had a question, sorry.
No, I don't mean to be interrupting here. No,
it's fine.
Yeah, I like the back and forth of it. Okay, so essentially, are these coaching corners going to be weekly? Is it anytime she requests, or how does that work?
Okay, that's another very good question. So let's dial back to that 25,000 minute figure. Out of that, between 4,000 and 6,000 minutes will be coaches' corners.
Okay.
Now, there's a variety of ways to join it. You can, of course, join in a one-on-one situation or a group situation, which is a lot more economical, but you'd be playing on your team. So the gamification expands out into team, division, league, conference, league, and there would be teams of 10, and you would compete against other
Such a
teams
sports
of 10.
guy.
Well, yeah,
I love it. I love it. Yeah,
yeah. Think of English Premier League and how you relegate and get promoted, right? So this system will naturally filter you onto teams that are playing to your level, so your group can interact more freely. There's not somebody that's super shy and just beginning the game. They'd be filtered down into groups with other beginners, and they'd move at their own pace. It is quantitative assessment, not qualitative.
Right.
Whoever plays the most wins. Okay.
Now, in terms of winning, how are you assessing that?
That's a great question. It very simply, it's this number right here, the daily commitment per to
most commitment equals.
Yeah. So now my theory is that this is the path forward to Vision 2030. You're familiar, of course, with Vision 2030. And for those that aren't, Taiwan does honestly believe it could become English bilingual by 2030.
Yeah.
And you know, and I know, given the current state of English, the English coaching available out there, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
there's cultural barriers that have to be knocked down if any success is going to be achieved. Chiefly, look, like I said, practice plus time equals success. But practice, as you know, from acting or any sports you do, there's a lot of failure. A Major League Baseball player fails 7 out of 10 times at the bat.
Yeah.
And he's having a career year.
Yeah.
Right? You learn from mistakes.
Yeah, so maybe the algorithm or the slogan can be practice plus time plus coach's corner. Because
that's part of the time. That's part of the time. And here's the interesting: coaches' corners are designed to eliminate, and they're self-eliminating.
Yeah.
The further you go down your road, down your journey, the less you need a coach.
I like that. That's very good. Yeah.
So
almost like
that 4,000 to 6,000 minutes I mentioned is going to be 1 year of coaching. That's all we need for. If you're currently at about a 550 on TOEIC, or that level, you studied English through junior high and senior high, maybe a little bushy band as a kid. Now you have a job, and you if somebody calls up and says, "Can you speak English?" You're too shy to take that conversation. 550 TOEIC basically.
Yeah.
You'd be 900 in a year with this system. I guarantee it. If you manage a 60-minute a day commitment, you will be 900 in a year.
Did you ever get any advertisement up in Canada called the Men's Warehouse?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you just said a slogan. I guarantee you'll look great. You just said it exactly like this guy who ran this suit company.
Well, I mean, how can I guarantee it? There are ways. If you want to go for a guarantee, you'd have to do what I say: achieve a daily commitment of 60, attend all your coaches' corners, and listen to what I say. And then you could take the TOEIC test or a mock TOEIC test at the start and each quarter, and by the end of the year, you will see a 25% bump at least in your score.
Yeah, I think. So essentially, I'm thinking in terms of this gamification. So the incentive, obviously, is to try to be ahead in your group play within your respected league.
Yes, but also to keep your team competing against other teams.
Right. So scoring points essentially for your
points
team.
For yourself and for your team. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I like this.
That's the game. That's the game side of it. But you were talking about assessment. Now, if this was, if I got the opportunity to experiment with it in a high school or a junior high school setting, There you have a different kind of motivation. The student is motivated by fear of failure.
Hmm.
So instead of assessing an A, B, C, D, F grade, you assess a pass fail. It has to be accepted. And this is where the disconnect happens whenever you talk to anybody in the education system, that you could do a pass fail instead of a grading system.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah,
then you
I
set,
see the resistance there for sure. But
yeah.
I like that idea. I think keep going.
No, please.
Yeah,
You're going to make my point for
I
me.
like this. So just for people watching, more of my background here is, so this show I host is basically interviewing entertainers, musicians, business owners, all walks of life. And essentially what I'm trying to do is I funnel the story of their life into what has worked and what hasn't worked in their language journey.
Mhm.
And so, this concept you're talking about here, Stu, with pass and fail, I think it, from your perspective, it's great. And it is great in the sense that these marginal successes are actually, they compound over time, rather than being like, oh, I have an A here, no one cares. But
Yeah.
continuing to get that little success I mean, that's a psychology 101. I mean, you are going to continue to succeed. So sorry to interrupt with all that, but I love that and I support
You're making
you
my point on a
I
psychological
see where you're
level.
coming from. Yeah.
And you think about the cultural level too, because there is such an adversity to being wrong. It manifests itself in many ways. Well, just not willing to try.
Yeah.
Analogy is basketball. I might miss, dish, right? You never shoot because you might miss. Whereas, think about it, a foul shot, if you miss the first one, you make a minor adjustment, and the percentage of making the second shot is much higher than making the first shot, because you've learned from the mistake and had, what did you call it? A micro progression?
Marginal just means very small.
Micro
Yeah.
progressions.
Yeah, micro progressions.
Micro progressions, I think. Well, we just coined a term.
Yeah, there we go. Micro progression. Yeah, so I'm thinking in the finance world right now.
Yeah.
But I love what you're saying, and I think I will be honest, that is a hard sell to Taiwanese parents.
Yeah, but you can set the parameter nice and high though. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking though, look, you have them for 6 years, junior high, senior high school. How would I manage 6 years of their time? I'd start off grade 7, you'd have to achieve a 45. I know that after a year of grade 7s doing 45, the teachers that they have are committed to this system of coaching and not teaching. They would already after the year be up at 750 on TOEIC or a band 6.5 on IELTS. Yeah. Already junior high after a year. 6 years down, well, by the second year they're sight reading Shakespeare. I'm telling you, they're going to be so much more competitive than in English than the average native speaker.
Yeah.
Given this system.
Yeah, I agree.
Second year of junior high school, it's 48 minutes pass fail. Up to like senior year of high school, it's 60 minutes. Mm-hmm. There's a social aspect of it. They would be getting points for speaking English with each other on school grounds. Hmm. Every teacher that I know that works in the actual education system, not the bushy band system, right, struggles with, come on guys, speak English with each other at lunch. And nobody does it. Rang diolian, loss of face. This face thing also manifests itself in not asking questions. Yeah. And right, this is here's where the genius of this system is. Once they start playing the game, we convince them to play the game, they will see that their confidence and all the other secondary and tertiary skills of being a professional language user are building quickly. But it forces them to ask questions. And there's 3 questions that they will ask. And the more work that they put in their XP work, the more they're going to have questions.
Mhm.
These 3 questions are, Coach, can you please help me with this list of vocab I was unable to figure out the meaning of by myself this week? The second one is, Coach, can you take a look at my presentation and give me some feedback? And third one is, Coach, can you take a look at my writing sample and let's go over it? And so that becomes real-time grammar. You're making your mistakes, and I'm highlighting and addressing that mistake at the time. And you learn from your mistakes. Everything builds towards that final writing sample. And every week, they're tasked with bringing a writing sample to their coach's corner that they will review.
You know what I love so much about this already, Stu, is this concept of coaching versus teaching. I think about all of the most successful, influential anythings in the world. They always talk about this kind of mentor, this coach, and I think this approach is very enlightened in the sense that, you know, like, rather than trying to teach and hammer, it's more of a you know, I don't have the
Guidance.
Yeah, it's more guidance rather than, like, you know, it's someone who's been there, they've done that, and they're through the other side. And I think I think this concept is very, very.
And it's not just lip service and branding and stuff like that. I've actually, if a student of mine from 15 or 18 years ago joined us right now, they'd be calling me Coach. I've been insisting on
Coach
being
Stu.
called. Huh? Coach Stu. That's the brand. That's the brand I'm trying to build. Coach Stu. Yeah. And there is a philosophical and fundamental difference. I'm not teaching you anything. You have to teach yourself. You are the teacher. Only you can teach yourself how to play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody can coach you. Language is art, not science. And Taiwan's disconnect is in trying to approach it year and year after year after year as a science.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to memorize your way, cram school. It's all in there in the local language. They use their eyes to try and learn, and we know that language is learned through the ears. Taiwanese is the perfect example because there's no written Taiwanese. The only way to learn Taiyu is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So they have a perfect local example of that language is learned with the ears. And so our training program focuses on that aspect. We engage the ears as much as possible, right down to the drafting. Read your writing out loud. You will hear your mistakes more often and quicker than you will see your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So let me just show you how it would work for a student, if I could, unless you have anything else you want to talk about.
Yeah, no. I love this. I wish I had more time, to be honest. I'm very interested. I'm very interested in this.
Anytime. So coming back to sharing my screen.
Yeah.
So basically, when you register with me is I'm going to share a calendar with you. You need Google Drive and Zoom and Google Calendar to do my program. Eventually, when it scales, it will all be turned into an app.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm Coach Stu. I'm pushing the limits of Google Drive, as you are about to see, to its limit. Okay, so you get this calendar, and each one of these is an event that represents one of your exercises, one of your XPs, one of your games. So you do that. You have a briefcase that we share together, and in there you have a whiteboard that is interactive. And like 10 people can be on this whiteboard, so it works as well for a group, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is her BKS experience, and she logs all her experiences here. Here's her slogging experience for week 3, and she has her slog right here, right? So she would copy this, and she would note her score as a 10, and then she would come back to her calendar, open the slog, and go to her form. Everybody that's playing shares this form. She puts her email address in there. She adds today's entry, which she just copied, right? Mm-hmm. So she can just paste it in here. And then her score was a 10. And she clicks submit. Boom, in real time. That would up her slog score by 70, and the algorithm would adjust everything along the way. Right? It's live. The scoreboard is live. We don't have to input anything. My partner, I love watching her sink her teeth into these algorithms. We're working on one right now, which is going to show the streak. How many days in a row did you do slog? How many days in a row did you do BKS? How many days in a row did you do an exercise? You'll have your daily commitment streak as well.
Yeah.
And she sinks her teeth into writing this algorithm. It's amazing. And like, if it wasn't for her organizational skills, I wouldn't have been able to take all my disparate ideas and roll them into such a cohesive.
Yeah, it's a nice teamwork. I can see you guys. You're the
putting our heart
branding
and
and the
soul.
ideas, and she's helping you organize. Yeah, it's good.
So each one has its corresponding form, right? And you fill in the work, and it's all the tracker. All of these are the archives of each person's work. Okay. So basically, you just need to learn how to do these 6 exercises, and then you incorporate them into your life. And
how was that score done? Just a quick. How did she get 10 points? Was that for writing a certain amount of words?
Okay, so I actually, for anybody that's taken the time to go this far in the video, I'm going to share with you one of the XPs as a little bonus. Okay, and that's the one that we call slogging. And what slogging basically is it's a daily exercise of 10 minutes. And what you want to do is try and type as fast as you can. Stream of consciousness typing. You can have an idea of content, of what you want to write about, but don't get stuck to it. Just keep typing. We are counting keystrokes. If you hit backspace, you are eliminating keystrokes. So typing doesn't matter, grammar doesn't matter, spelling doesn't matter, content doesn't matter. Just type for 10 minutes nonstop. The app would have 2 clocks. Once you start typing, the 10-minute clock would count down. If you stop, boom, it would stop, and the 1-minute clock would start counting down. If that 1-minute clock runs out, game over.
Right.
If you've only achieved 5 minutes of typing time, you get 5 points. Okay. Right now,
I like this concept. What if people just write cat for 10 minutes?
I don't know what to type. What should I type? I'm looking around my room. My dog sleep. Red couch, fan. You just type words until sentences start to come, and then type sentences until paragraphs start to come, and you learn to flow like a river. This is training your brain. It's training you to take control of the cognitive voice. At first you recognize, oh yeah, I think in Chinese and translate. Your Chinese is good enough that when you're throwing down in Chinese, you're not translating anymore. You've switched operating systems. You have a Chinese OS that is not as powerful as your English OS. Right? Your English OS is very jealous and demanding and will always be pulling you back to its side. But you've learned to take control. And no, 我想泰语, 我想中文. And you force it to think. And so you type, and then you copy, paste, and take your points. So it's a 10-minute exercise. If you get 970 characters, that's 10 points. If you get 830 characters, that's 8 points. After 2 weeks of doing this, you're scoring a 10 all the time. So it just becomes a maximum of 10 points.
Yeah, it's great. What is
and
that?
It evolves, right? There's a whole, you get keys and you open doors, and now we'll evolve that into something else that is more, and these evolutions personalize the training. Everybody does the same exercises, but the content becomes something that you can attach to, that you're related to. You start off on the same foot, but then you go your own separate journey.
I love it. The infinity key.
The infinity key.
So I'm really liking it. I do hope we actually can do another session of this, maybe tomorrow even. But real quick before we go, can you break down those 6 components?
Yeah, sure.
You might want to know that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's that. In order to, here, I'll share the screen again. So if you go to our website, infinitykey.rocks, you can see this Unlocking Infinity workshop, and that's how you get started. You join us. It's 3 coaches' corners of 2 hours over 14 days. So we give you a few of the exercises, a few of the XPs, then you go and try and do them. You come back, you get feedback, you're taught an evolution of the exercises and how to do the remaining ones. And then you go away for another 7 days and you try and do as many of them as you can. And you come back on your final coach's corner for assessment. And then you can make a decision if this is the system that's right for you. Okay, so you just come to our site and click on this banner and it'll take you to the information and registration, Unlocking Infinity Workshop Personal Edition. Okay, so to understand, we'll come back to the Master Tracker and our live scoreboard. Flogging, I just explained to you. It's a thinking in English exercise, training your brain to think in English for 10 minutes a day. These first 3 are daily, 4 can be daily exercises. And if you want to achieve a 60-minute a day, you do these 4, and you don't have to do them at the same time, and you can do them on your phone, and you can do them on the MRT. And you do them every day, you're going to achieve your 60 minutes a day. These 2 are weekly to prepare yourself for your coach's corner, and we count the time for that. Okay, so flogging, thinking in English. BKS is our listening exercise. Okay, you're behind the ball as far as listening goes, Taiwan. Because you've been trying to learn with your eyes. When you watch HBO, you're reading subtitles. You're not thinking in English. You're not listening to what the people are saying. You have to start listening to naturally spoken English. And this is a 5 to 20 minute a day exercise that will get you listening. This one, listening to other people speak, will help you develop your grammar and vocabulary. But if you can listen to yourself speak English, knowing that everything you are saying is perfect grammar and that you understand everything you are saying, you're going to advance that passive acquisition foundation of what English sounds like when it's used properly. So here with rehearsal sets, we get you speaking English every day with perfect grammar for 10 minutes a day. This one is the beauty. I did drop this one on you earlier when I was talking about having junior high school kids speaking English with each other at lunchtime. TWT is talking with Taiwanese. We should actually, there's a bit of a, I'm gonna put this T in here. Talking with Taiwanese. Oh, I have nobody to practice my English with. Oh, you must be the only person in Taiwan studying English. How many times have you heard 2 Taiwanese people speaking English outside of a class, John?
It is rare, but
if they're with an overseas born Chinese or a foreigner, they'll speak English, but just with each other?
Yeah.
You've never heard it, right?
Yeah. I mean,
well,
most people want to go into their mother language. I don't.
Yes, but they need practice. So you're on the MR. Well, right now, actually, the virus has softened my take on this because I would insist that it also be done in public. Because another thing the face is preventing them is social judgment. It's come to light that part of the reason they resist this is other people standing around will hear them speaking English and think they're showing off.
Yeah, it goes both ways. They think they're showing off, and they get judged by people whose English is maybe a little bit better, and your English is terrible. And then
their fear of that is there, and it's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah. Right.
So we're indoctrinating them. We're deprogramming them to accept the. And once they do it, they realize, oh, I should have been doing this my whole life. And one way when I was working on Bushi Banjia back in the day in those test prep mills, I would take new students in a conversation class and get them talking to each other inside the classroom for 5 minutes. Just get to know each other. And then I'd go around doing other things with other students, and I'd come back to them and say, okay, keep this conversation going, but you're going to go downstairs and walk around the block one time and then come back 10 minutes. Go speak English on the street. Can't do that. well, you're doing it. And I would take it to the elevator and I would force them to do it.
Yeah.
10 minutes later, they come back and they're like, their paradigm has shifted.
Yeah.
It's that fast. They realize it once they do it. They resist it. Oh, they resist this one. But it's cleverly built into the active side of things.
Mm.
If you don't do it, her active is much lower than her passive because she's resisting it. And well, she'll do a draft before her class, so there'll be another 80 minutes or 60 minutes here. Right?
Yeah, the draft is with the coach's corner, is that right?
Well, yeah, the drafting is preparing your writing sample for the coach's corner, which you can use from your slog or not. But slogging will also introduce you to a more ordered way of composing an email or a writing test answer, that you just type out your message as fast as you can, then you go back and you edit with your ears. Mm. So those people, this is also designed for TOEIC, IBT, for TOEFL, and for IELTS. All these exercises are actually training you for taking the tests as well, surreptitiously. We never talk about the test, but you are going to be a better typer, a better editor. Mm-hmm. These little tertiary skills I spoke of earlier, right? So talking with Taiwanese, 1 minute of conversation equals 1 point.
Right? How do you track that?
So I don't insist on the public thing because of social distancing, so I've softened it. And now with Zoom and me getting to understand Zoom better, hey, they can do a Zoom, record it, file it in the cloud, and get their points for it. And
so if they were doing this in a face-to-face setting, they have to record it?
Well, when we have right now, no, it's trust.
Okay.
But it's not going to take a lot of scaling before we turn all of this into an app, and the app would record it.
Would record, yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Everything, the app would archive everything automatically. Right now, they have to use the calendar to file their XPs using and the subsequent forms that take them to these different sheets. Right. Which are then calculated onto the big scoreboard. And we're going to play with the scoreboard. It's going to evolve as well.
Yeah, sure.
You were talking about rewards earlier. The pass-fail for junior, senior high school students would work, but you need more of a carrot with adults. You can't use the stick. So motivation becomes the key. So in our budget, when we scale it out and we budget things, we take a portion of the tuition and we put it into a slush fund that will be monthly or quarterly prizes for best performers in different categories that we create.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Monetary reward. That's
monetary reward. Yeah. And also, of course, a referral bonus. So you bring people to play the game and you'll get a hong bao.
Sure.
For referring. Now, the talking with Taiwanese, think scaling it up to a corporate contract of 100 people, 10 teams of 10. They can then on their own create a 10-person Zoom room, record it, have a chat about something, have a meeting, everybody contributing. There's something called a huddle that you can Google Simon Sinek on YouTube. They do
love it.
huddle, right? And there's 16 people. So they can do a team huddle. It's huddle up, we could call it. And they would all get talking with Taiwanese points, and then the team would get bonus points. You know, so there are lots of ways to play with the gamification of this. I'm just getting started with that stuff.
Well, I'm liking it. You've got a vision. You've got the branding already, which I think is the most important right now for the early stages of startup. So I'm really liking this, Stu. I want to speak more about this. And do you feel comfortable then coming up maybe onto the radio show and talking a bit about it? Or do you want to wait a little bit?
Yeah, but you see how visual this presentation was, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
How do we do that on the radio? How do we accomplish that on the radio? I mean, we can put this video on YouTube and then, you know.
I could link that video into each other for sure. Yeah. But you know what I was thinking is maybe maybe we just talk about just to help you gain a little exposure here in Taiwan in that community. We can just talk about, you know.
Fear.
Yes. I'm fine with that as well. We can talk about, you know, the process of gamification and you know, and comparing different Western and Eastern techniques, and just kind of build your credibility for what you are actually getting to in the future.
Here, let me bounce this off of you then. I actually, it's all started like anything. When you want to resolve a problem, you have to figure out what the problem is first, right? And it didn't take long. It was like 2 years of trying to toe the company line, working first in Kitchen, then Wall Street, and seeing that I couldn't shake this feeling that Valbands were ripping people off. That there's like I kept playing over and over and over in my mind. Insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result, and so I started to try and understand and I identified 5 problems that are common to everyone. There's a certain segment of the culture that has lived overseas for 2-3 years. They are quicker to grasp this, but those that have never had the opportunity to live overseas, one, fear, and that's fear of making mistakes, fear of social pressure, fear of asking questions, just fear. Yeah. Now we trace the roots of that.
Right.
Where does that come from? And what's positive about the root of it? What's the negative? And that leads to methodology. And that's what you were talking about the gamification theory,
right.
How by accepting the role that mistakes have, by changing your philosophy of fear, then you have to change your methodology. And that's when we would talk about the game theory of infinite game theory. That leads to motivation. That's another problem.
Yeah.
More so with adults. And then finally, translation. And we talked about the thinking in English.
Right, the operating system.
Yeah, the operating system. And then environment, lack thereof.
Yeah.
And how then now I see, okay, what we need is environment. And I created the shortest route of environment to get them to their goals. Maybe you've seen it in a printer shop or something like that, a little sign that says, good, fast, cheap, pick 2.
Yeah, I have.
Right?
Seen that.
Remember that? You can have it good and fast, but it won't be cheap. You have good and cheap, but it won't be fast. Or you can have it fast and cheap, but it won't be good.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Put in other terms, efficient, effective, economical. We have hit the golden trinity of that. Efficient, effective, economical.
E squared.
E cubed.
E cubed, right? Yeah.
E cubed. And we're not math guys. We're actors, damn it.
Efficient, effective.
Yeah. And economical.
Mm-hmm.
In that, okay, that idea that we're trying to make ourselves redundant as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So taking the Unlocking Infinity workshop, for example. After the 14 days, you will know how to do all 6. You could then step away from Infinity Key and use those exercises as you see fit, incorporating them in, folding them into your daily life, and you will improve English because your game theory is you play, you get better. The only way to get worse is not to play.
Yeah.
Practice every day. So one step in front of the other, you're forward direction. It's not scalable from perfect to fail. It's linear, better and worse. And so keep moving forward. This gives you access to an English experience every day. Even if you only do 10 minutes a day, you're moving forward. Having the coach greatly accelerates the process. But you can do it on your own. So for $5,000, I'm going to give you the secret sauce, and you can what you will learn to do is you can then go into your Bushy Band class and take over the class and start asking questions. You'll be the only one asking questions, and the teacher will have no recourse but to answer your questions. So hi everybody, welcome today. Teacher, can I ask you a question? Can you tell me what this word means? Oh yeah, and so what would the adjective for it? And you're just nailing this and putting the teacher to work.
Yeah. So what's the 5,000 that's for the three.
That's the
Three
workshop.
courses.
Yeah, the
The
Unlocking
workshop.
Infinity workshop. And
Have you
you
came
learn
to an
in
idea
detail
of
how to. Sorry.
Oh, I was saying, have you come to an idea of how much this like multiple year course would cost though?
Uh, it's not a multiple year course. It's a 1 year course.
So, okay, so 25,000 points / minutes
That
equates to
would be about a year. That
1 year
that
course.
works. You know, that's just a rounded number, but basically, what you want to try and achieve, if you want the 1 year guarantee that I'm talking about, 60 minutes a day
Mhm.
commitment. I will manage that time in the most effective manner. You're going to get the highest return on your investment
Mhm.
for that time commitment. Then like a one-on-one situation, you'd start off, excuse me, it's not the virus. Okay, maybe that one was. That's my virus joke.
I like it.
Cough twice. First one, nothing virus. Oh, maybe that one was. So you'd start off with 2 hours a week, but you'd be, after maybe the first quarter, you'd be able to already scale that down to 90 minutes a week.
Yeah.
That's why I say between 4,000 and 6,000 minutes of coaching. The more you do, the less you need me.
Right.
It is a self-eliminating process. I want you to be successful. I don't want to reel you along for 5 years and you're not achieving success, and instead of blaming me, you're blaming yourself.
Right.
How many million of people out there are doing that right now, blaming themselves instead of demanding experiential learning from these bushy bands? They are a menace to society, man. Sorry, I'm not going to get off on the right.
No,
That's such a positive conversation, and I don't want to get down that rabbit hole.
No, well, well, I mean, to be honest, you're showing me your heart, and that's all I care about sometimes in these kind of pitch idea meetings is I see where you're coming from, and I know where you're
why.
coming from. Yeah, I start with why, as cynic says, you know.
Yeah.
So I that's very important to me as I go forward in a lot of my ventures, and I know that's your why essentially is you're sick of and tired of it. And that's,
I'm not going to rip them off.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I started a little campaign a couple of years ago where I invited people to make a video, and speaking in Chinese is fine, but recounting their classroom horror story. Right. And like, because friends, oh, my teacher hit me in the head with a book one time. It's like,
yeah.
You know, everyone's got one. Even the younger kids, they're the militaristic approach to education. And I'm not knocking the education system. I think it's wonderful. Taiwan produces amazing students. I back them in the math Olympics or whatever they call them.
Yeah, I agree.
But
you said that earlier, because they do it with their eyes, and
also their ability to learn by rote.
Yeah.
Which stems from the fear of mistakes.
Right.
Which comes from Hanfeizi, a student of a student of Kongzi's, Hanfeizi. There's Lu Jia, Fa Jia, Dao Jia. If you're familiar with those.
No, I'm not actually.
That's the holy trinity of Huaren.
Mm.
There's three philosophers, Kongzi, Lao Tzu, and Hanfeizi. And the middle one, Fa Jia, you can ask your Chinese teacher about it to explain. It's a philosophy that mistakes should be punished.
Yeah.
So the generation between us and my age and back, if they got 90 on a math test, would receive 10 smacks on the hand.
I see.
Encouraging the idea that punishment or mistakes are shameful.
Right.
It creates super students.
Right.
And they became super students in science. BT, IT, engineering, medicine.
Yeah.
We're looking right geniuses now, aren't we? Because that rote learning lends itself well to science. Mm-hmm. So of course they're going to use what works for the big albatross around their neck, English. That's all they know. Memorize, test, forget. Memorize, test, forget. Shame starts to grow. And it just becomes cultural. It's a cultural disability to language. Yeah. Fortunately, this new generation, the millennials of Taiwan,
The
The
Gen Zs.
sunflower generation.
Yeah.
They are eager and looking for new ways and more open. The hardest people I have to convince of this are the 50-year-olds, the executives and stuff,
Right.
so locked in their ways that they cannot have that paradigm shift. And it's required right at the outset. It takes a long time to fully shift your paradigm, but we get there with everyone if they stick with it long enough. Once they accept this new way of learning, this experiential way of learning, and forget everything that they've deprogramming, then they can now start on their new journey. And 1 year, they're done. When somebody calls the office and says, does anybody there speak English? They're going to turn to you and you're going to go, yeah, hi, how can I help you? What's that? Yeah, okay, I can help you with that. This is what you need to do. They're going to be the go-to person for checking emails, and they're, why are you learning English, Taiwan? For a better job. Money, 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 money. Right? Not to study overseas, because that's also about money, 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 money. Right. Not to take tests, because that's about to study overseas, and that's about money, 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 money.
Yeah.
Investment. 25,000 minutes. That's what you'll need to invest.
Nice, Stu. Well, hey, brother, I'm so sorry. I have to get to another meeting at 1 here, but
let's pick it up another time. And definitely going to come on the show. I can put this on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. I'll watch it first, and I don't think we need to do any editing. Two pros on the mic.
Yeah, we're first take warriors.
Thanks, bud. Let's continue it. Yeah, let's figure out how to scale now. I'll tell you right up front, my shortcoming is in marketing and sales.
Yeah,
and I shouldn't be focusing on that.
Well, I think right now you're doing something that's great, and you're having a student or maybe multiple students who are testing the product. You
need to test the product.
Yeah, you need to get that feedback right now. So actually you're on a great track, because now you can kind of go with her on that journey and encourage her if she's not already, try to give feedback I'm sure.
We worked that in too. There's actually a clever little ruse I have to get feedback.
Okay, perfect.
In that vlogging, it's like, I don't know what to write about. Write about your English experience with Infinity Key.
Yeah.
I developed that into testimonials.
You've got a great you've got a very creative mind for this, Stu. I see a lot of there's a lot of great aspects already to it, for sure. So let's pick this up. Maybe tomorrow, potentially Sunday. How's your Sunday?
I'll make time for you, bud.
Okay. Well, let's stay in touch, and I would like to hear more and bounce some ideas off you, and we can keep on keeping on, and then we can kind of think about in terms of bringing you onto the show. And I'm thinking let's approach the show more from a marketing standpoint. So let's not try to sell too much of the methodology of behind the scenes, but more of kind of the branding of it. So I think maybe we can talk about, coaching and all these things. And I think that's
okay. I want to thank my guest today, John Drummond from ICRT. Valuable advice. And I think this video, everybody should listen to. We had a really good conversation today. And you can look forward to seeing John in Lady the Butterfly, which is slated for release sometime in December. Taiwan's budget television show. And of course, if you know me, I'm in that too. And we have a beautiful scene together at a dining table. I think it's going to be one of our favorite scenes.
Yeah.
So, my friend, John Drummond. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Stu. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll chat soon.
We'll talk soon. Thanks, buddy.
Bye, everyone.